We're almost done, about 2 more minutes, not even, about a minute, and I'm going to get started. I know this is a last minute thing. All right, folks, we are live on DAC Agent's Facebook page as well. Want to make sure that was the case before I get started. This is a last minute thing. I'm glad you're here if you're here. I'm doing this as a recording because today we did this training and it was highly regarded, but we didn't record it inadvertently. So people requested that I do it again. So I'm doing it again right now. And I appreciate any of you who watch this and come out and join. And obviously it's a last minute thing. Decided to schedule it 5 minutes ago just to get it into recording. And anyone who wants to come will come. It wasn't scheduled, so nobody knows about it unless they go to our Facebook page. But with that, let's get started. Thank you for being here. This training is titled the Upline Referral Scripts for building your team and building customer base. Now, the reason I do this, the reason I want to cover this is it's really important. I look back at my time in this industry. When I first started, my first couple months, I didn't have much success at all. Relative to others, I was probably having success, but I wasn't making much money. And what was interesting is I was a good employee. Some of you are great employees. I was a good employee and I was a good student and I worked hard in school and I was a good person, right? I didn't cause trouble. I didn't cause problems. And in doing so, I still wasn't making any money in the industry. And I was trying hard. And with my job, I remember I'd get there early and I'd stay late. And like I shared on a training in the past, even though I did everything right, I went to the best business school I could. And I got the best job I could. And I went in early and I stayed late and I worked overtime and all that. Even with all of that, at the end of the day, I didn't have the money to pay some bills. And that's what created the hunger game that was inside me. That day that I wrote that check for that dishwasher, and I don't remember if it was $7 or $13, but it was less than 15. And I remember the money wasn't in the account. And I remember then I said, I'm going to make a change. And that was my hunger. Like I shared in other trainings, I picked up that phone and I started calling advertisements for business opportunities. And I just started looking. I knew I couldn't leave General Motors, but I needed to do something additional. So I started in this home-based business and I went for it, right? And I knew I was going to take it serious. And I remember I made my list, like they said, and I contacted people to find out who was interested in trying the product and who was interested in becoming a representative, everything we teach to do in building your team. And in doing all that, I did it for 2 months, did everything right. I went to trainings. I had spent thousands of dollars on trainings in that first 2 months, literally traveled to 5 or 6 different cities, all a flight away or a 5 or 6 hour drive away, hotel charges, training fee charges. I needed to know. And I put it all on credit cards because, as you know, I didn't have the money to pay for my dishwasher. So I was putting it all on credit cards to be able to earn money in my business to pay it all off was my mindset. And I did everything right. I was calling people the right way and some people were joining, but something happened. After 2 months, I wasn't making any money, even though I had recruited some people. Most had quit. The people I had gotten as customers stopped using the product, and a couple of them were still using it. But in the end, it wasn't a successful 60 days of work. And I remember looking at it, go, man, well, I was very fortunate. A leader in my upline came into town. And he sat me down and he said, you know what, Dave, you've been making calls. It's great. You're going for it. That's awesome. But there's a style, right? There's a style we all have, and that causes things. The way we make calls and the way we behave, that creates the success or failure in our business. That's going to attract certain type people. And here was a guy, he rolled in on a Mercedes. I mean, I was under 25 at the time, and he was in his 20s as well, but he had this big full-size sedan, black Mercedes with chrome wheels, and I was so impressed. I could barely afford my Volkswagen Jetta and or my little GM truck, whatever I was driving that, I don't know. But I remember being really impressed and thinking, I'm going to pay attention to this guy is successful. And I knew he was making over $10,000 a month in his 20s. And my boss at GM and his boss wasn't making that. So I knew it was going to be a while before I could catch that type income. And he sat down with me, somebody says, you know what? Give me 3 or 4. There's people on your chicken list. Give me 3 or 4 people that you're not calling, and I'll call them for you. He says, I'm going to use something we call the Upline Referral. So just give me some names. So I wrote down some names. I remember I gave him my uncle's name. And he picked up the phone and he reached out to him. He said, hey, Jim, how you doing? Hi, you don't know me directly. My name is Robert, but I was referred to you by David Rutz. You know David, yeah, your nephew. Yeah, well, he said a lot of nice things about you. Anyway, I'm responsible for the national expansion of our company. And David just started working with us, and I asked him to inform me of 2 or 3 people that are serious type people that can help lead and develop an organization on a national scale. And he mentioned your name. So the reason I'm reaching out is just to find out if you might be open to looking at our business right now, maybe making money outside of what you're doing, maybe even helping us with our national expansion. Are you willing to give this a look? He said, sure. I mean, there were some other words exchanged, but in the end, he said, yeah, I'll give it a look. Back then, we didn't have websites to send people to or teleconference lines. We had VHS tapes. So I remember I got my VHS envelope and I bought that $14 tape and I put it in an envelope and I wrote a little note and I sent it off to him. But what I got out of that, watching him do that call, was he had confidence. Here he was in his 20s calling his successful guy in his 40s. And he had all the confidence in the world as he called him. And he was using language like, we're building a national organization. After all, he drove into Michigan from Montana. He was building a national organization. He really was seriously looking to identify leaders to help lead and develop a national team. He wasn't just saying the words. He meant what he said. And so I witnessed this. And I realized I was calling people and asking them if they wanted to make money outside of what they're doing. And, hey, you want to check out this business I'm in? And I was attracting some people who wanted to think about it, or some people. My uncle never did join the business, but then as soon as he was done with that first call, he picked up the second call. And he called a friend of mine named Brian that I worked with at a prior company. And he said the same thing. And Brian was a leader. Brian was a football player at a college, and we worked together in a job right out of college. And he was just a leader. He was going places in corporate America. And I said, this guy is going places. So he calls, and it's exactly what he said to him. He said, you were a standout on the football team. Dave said you were a standout on the football team. Dave said you were a leader in your job, and he just thinks you'd be the right type person to help us lead and develop a national organization. You want to look at this? And that guy came to a meeting I think it was the next night. And he decided to join the business, and he became one of our leaders. And my uncle never did join, but what I saw is the confidence. He just said the same thing. You don't know me directly. I was referred to you by David Rutz. He spoke highly of you because I asked him to identify 2 to 3 people who were serious entrepreneur types, leader types, who could help us lead and develop and might have interest in doing what we're doing. And he mentioned your name. He didn't say, give me 20 names and I'm going to tell him 2 or 3. He said, give me 2 or 3. He didn't say, give me 20. He said, give me 2 or 3. So he was being authentic, transparent in leadership. And I witnessed this. And I said, wow, I realized something. He was attracting leaders because he was asking for people to be leaders, and he was speaking like a leader. And then after the person came to the presentation, when Brian came, in fact, 2 of the 3 people ended up joining. I ended up giving them more names after those 3. I think he ended up calling 8 or 9 people for me, and 3 of them joined, which is pretty exceptional because they were all sharp people that I probably wouldn't have called myself. And so after they got started, then he sat him down and said, okay, now I want to show you a game plan. And he sat down, and I'm watching, and he's going, listen, we're not looking for people that are just want to get a couple products. I didn't drive in from Montana to get a customer or a customer getter. I came here to identify people who want to help us lead and develop a national organization. That means hundreds or even in the thousands of agents who want to market our products. That's why I drove from Montana. So if you fit that and you want to proceed with that, I want to do a game plan with you. And I got to do it before I head back to Montana. And the time was sensitive. The urgency existed. There was no convincing. There was no selling. There was presenting the great opportunity we had, what we're looking for. Do you believe what we believe? Let's roll if you do, let's not if we don't. And you know what's interesting is I witnessed something there. I witnessed the power of confidence in the belief of your business. I witnessed not selling it, not closing, I remember learning the Tommy Hopkins close and thinking that was important, and the alternative close, and control of conversations with controlling questions, right? You do understand that, don't you? Well, that depends, and not necessarily to answer every question. Learned all those techniques. When I saw Robert, what I saw was someone who believed in what he was doing. He knew what he was looking for, and he said what he was looking for. So for the first 60 days, I didn't even break even. But in the next 60 days, I broke through, and my business started to grow immensely. From this script here says 2001 through 2020 in the copyright. It's the same. I didn't write the script. I watched Robert do it. Dear friend of mine, Robert Hollis, back in 1991. And you know what Robert did? He didn't create the script. He was trained by someone else who was trained by someone else. It's just simply reaching out and helping people break through the ice, because those are people I wasn't going to call. I was confident. I was doing it. I was a good partner in the business, but I wasn't going to call those people. Those were the unreachable. See, when you look at your list of agents to build a company with, you have people you look up to, people you are your peers, you're eye to eye, and people who look up to you. Most people start recruiting the people who look up to them, who will say, yeah, I'll do it. If you're doing it, I'll do it. But that doesn't necessarily always build the most productive team. Or they'll recruit their peers and go, I'll give it a try if you're giving it a try. But when you recruit up and you go to people who are already getting after it, a couple things happen. Number one, if they say yes, they're dedicated and serious, and they really are looking to build a national organization. They look at training differently. They're looking to imitate to duplicate. They're looking to simplify to multiply. They start doing everything the right way. And if they say no, they're your biggest cheerleaders, because they're successful-minded people. The naysayers come from your peer group and the people who look up to you. The naysayers don't come from the people you look up to. Those people, they understand leadership is lonely. They understand they're going for it in life. And most people are naysayers. Most people aren't cheerleaders. Most people aren't encouragers. And so when you ask someone who you look up to, a successful person, I remember my second or third presentation in the business, I was sitting at my office and in came a Ferrari. Again, I'm making no money yet. I'm working at General Motors, and in comes this Ferrari and this wealthy guy. I mean, he actually was a very wealthy multimillionaire. And he came into our presentation and our training, and he watched. And he said, I'm not joining. I just can't get this enthusiasm and this passion and this energy out in that world like I can in this room. I come for the environment. And he said, every one of you, and he would speak once in a while, every one of you needs to just go for it. And he would share his story. I'm an entrepreneur, started a business. And you know what? That helped me believe that I was in the right company. They say, take 5 people around you and add up their incomes. Your 5 closest people, add up their incomes, and you're probably making about the average of those combined. The 5 people you hang around most, add up their incomes, and you probably are the average. So if you start celebrating the success of our business in your mind before you have it, if you start believing in it before you have it, if you start grabbing onto the confidence of Wade Cordell before you have it, or Kelsey Britton before you have it, or Ellen Wynn before you have it, Matthew DeHane before you have it. If you start grabbing on to Scott Fardulis's confidence, my confidence, you start grabbing onto that and believing it before you have it, you'll start to accumulate that confidence yourself. And if you start to use this, it's a lot easier to call my people than it is your own, the people you look up to. If you ask me for 4 or 5 people, so you recruit me, I'm a brand new representative. I'm going to call some more market people and ask them if they want to check out the business, and I'll attract a few people and they may take off with it. But, you know, I watched a training today. They said 95% of the people who become real estate agents will never break even. They'll never even get their investment back. 95% of the people who come. Now, I don't know if that's true. That's just what this trainer said. And the reason why is most of them never get the boldness to be real estate agents. A real estate agent, you need to generate business. You need to be bold and confident in what you're doing. You can't just put a post up and say, need to buy or sell a home? Call me, Century 21. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to help you break even. You can't just put a post up on Facebook and think you're going to break even in DAC or get clients. You may stumble on a client once, even twice or three times, but you can't create walkaway income hoping people stumble on your ads. You create walkaway income by duplicating an organization of leaders who want to get after it, who are doers. And what we say a leader is, they don't have to be a superstar leader in their past already. This is what I want you to look for. People who've got the work ethic, the confidence, and the willingness to do. That's it. So this script here covers exactly what I said. Hi, you don't know me directly. I was referred to you by so-and-so. They told me this, this, and this about you. So I'm just reaching out to find out, because I'm responsible for the expansion of our national expansion. I'm looking for leaders to help us lead and develop our company in the Michigan area or Texas area or in the Northeast region, whatever you're looking to help lead, and mean it when you say it. So you're just calling because Dave said you're sharp. And so I'm reaching out to see if you might be open to taking a look at what we're doing and maybe grabbing a hold of what we're doing with us. No problem. You may want to get back with Dave and let him know I reached out to you. He said a lot of great things about you. And if anything changes, Tom, let me know. I'd be glad to have you look at this 6 months from now, 6 weeks from now, whenever it might be a better time. But I appreciate you listening to me. Done. There's no selling. I witnessed Robert back then in 1991. He didn't sell, my friends. He presented what was going awesome. If they weren't interested, he said, no problem, I get it. Just get with Dave. He said great things about you. Really appreciate it. If anything changes, you let me know. Done. Next call. See, if you can call, if you introduce me and you say, Dave, you're going to get started and follow the get started right, and then the service star, and then the Saturday training, and then the game plan. That's all great. Now I'm getting after it. I make my list and I'm starting to make calls and I'm building my partners. Some I'm going to be real comfortable calling, but there's going to be a list I'm not comfortable calling. Those are the ones you want to call for me. So you simply, if you had 4 or 5 names from everyone you personally enroll, you probably have 20 or 30 people you could call now. And guess what? That 20 or 30, if you call them with this Upline referral script, make it your own. But by the way, this is in the DAC Agent Resource Center under miscellaneous team building tools. I think it's items 7 and 8. You can use this. Make it your own. You know, you don't read something to them. This is a guide to go through it and get the conversation in your mind. And then have the confidence. You really are looking for this, and we're okay if they're not interested, right? And then you don't have to be intimidated when you call them, because you're calling on behalf of Lisa or Joe or Bill or Jessica or Marlo or Tom or whoever you're calling on behalf of. And so if you recruit me, I'm willing to give you 5 names to call that I won't call otherwise. And they're the best 5 probably. So you, by offering this, watch what can happen. If you had 3 people on your personal enrolled level, I'll give you 5 names. You're calling 15 good people. If only 3 join, 1 each, you got 3. That's a taproom. You got 3 good leaders there. And you do the same thing with them. They get into training and you're getting, the quality is going up, 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 up. You can also look, you can also say, hey, Tom, let's say I'm brand new. You say, hey, Dave, we want to identify 3 or 4 people who are not intimidated by calling on businesses. So who do you know that's already calling on businesses as a career today that might be interested in helping us lead and develop a team of people who call on businesses? And I go, oh, my friend here has been selling Xerox to business owners for 12 years. And this guy, I don't really know him real well, but he's been doing office equipment for the longest time, medical equipment, he calls them. And this person here does, whatever, some sort of supplies. Okay, great. Let's call those 3. And the same thing. You call in, instead of saying we're looking for, you said you had entrepreneurial skills, isn't that? You say we're looking to build a team on a national level, people who can lead and develop a team who call on businesses. And Dave said you already call on businesses very successfully. Man, the product we have to help business owners with funding, loans, or save the money is unbelievable. The fact that you're already calling on businesses, you could eat this up. We're looking for leaders and to help us lead and develop people. Are you interested in taking a look at what we're doing? Oh, my hands are pretty tied, but I just can't right now. Hey, no problem. If anything changes, let us know. Like I said, Dave said a lot of great things about you. What we do, you can start part-time. So if at any time this changes and you want to give it a look, Dave's going for it, you let us know. and we'll give you some information to learn more. Well, send me something. Okay, I'll send you something. And you send them Dave's website, or Dave sends them the website. All you're doing is opening the door, cracking through the ice, that ice ceiling that I'm not going to go through as that brand new rep. And you're getting to the most attractive people, most beneficial. I don't mean physically attractive. I mean for the business. They check the boxes. It's right here in your script. Now we've got four others, for all the business services and consumer services. Same thing. Same thing if you want to help someone get a business capital client. When they get started, I still know some businesses I've not yet approached. There's only so much time in a day. And I'm not always approaching businesses. I'm approaching businesses I don't know more than I'm approaching businesses I know at this point. But I'm sure there's a couple out there that I haven't called. And if you said to me, hey, Dave, give me a list of 5 businesses you haven't called yet, and I'll call them on your behalf. And if they decide to get capital, you're going to get the commission. Now you're my enroller, so you get paid on it as well. And so what does that script look like? Well, it's just very similar. It's right here, by the way. It's right now, but it starts out the same way. Hey, how you doing? Is John in? Hey, John. Hi, how you doing, John? This is David Ross. You don't know me directly. I was referred to you by Steve Owens. Steve said you're his landscape service. You've been doing his landscaping and lawn service for a while. Yeah, great. Well, listen, the reason I'm calling is to introduce myself. Steve thought I should, because I'm in business capital with David Allen Capital. And what we do is we provide capital to businesses to help them grow or expand. When the big banks can't help them, we can. So Steve thought I should give you a call to find out if ever you have an opportunity you want to pursue, or if you're ever in a tight pinch. We just want you to know who we are so you can take advantage of those opportunities and get access to capital, simple and fast. Would it be okay if I send you some information on what we do in case you ever need capital for anything? Now, all that happened there is an approach happened that your new rep is not going to do. So if you introduce me, I may talk to some businesses, but if you ask me for a list of 5 or 6 businesses that I don't feel yet comfortable to call, and you call them on my behalf, you might be helping me as a brand new agent get some clients, and you earn the enroller bonuses. And the more clients you have, the more your enroller bonus is. If you're service star, you're getting 1% on your personal enrolled levels. So and by the way, you can do the same thing with healthcare, the same thing with payment processing. It's the same deal. You don't know me directly. I was referred to you by so-and-so. They recommended I give you a call because we have a passion for helping business owners save significantly on their payment processing. And Lisa just started working with us. She said she knows you through such and such business. So I'm just reaching out to see if you might be interested in us showing you a way how to take your current payment processing fees and make them almost zero with the newest, greatest equipment. Well, I don't know. Hey, listen, I totally get it. You're busy, but Lisa asked me to give you a call, so I am. Would it be okay if we send you some information? So if ever you want to get a free quote to see how we really can take your fees from whatever you're paying a month now, almost down to zero, I'll be happy to send you some information. But Lisa thought I should introduce myself, so I am. The approach happens. And guess what? You know how many people you've recruited who fit in the 95% of real estate agents who will never break even because they never are bold enough to do the business? 95% of your agents you recruit in a DAC will never be bold enough to do the business, but they might just be bold enough to give you some names to call on their behalf. Now, some of you going, I'm not doing that. Hey, when you're recruiting a team of agents, if you recruit me and I'm just okay, there's a saying, every dud knows a stud. If you recruit me and I give you a list of 5, you might recruit the biggest superstar this company ever has because you're willing to call a person for me. Not only that, you say, well, Dave, you should be willing to call your business owners on your own. Well, if I'm not willing to, if I give you a list of some businesses, you call them and one of them becomes a funding, you're going to make money you're not making. For what? For making a quick phone call? There's people buying leads. You don't have to buy leads. You've got a team of agents who are more than willing to give you some people to call on their behalf. It's in your company. It's in your team. It's in your family of agents. It's helping to solidify them. They say you start a fire from the bottom up. You get some people down here making money and having bonuses coming in, and everyone in between them not qualified to get paid. Guess what they're going to do? Get qualified to get paid. No one's doing anything. There's no urgency to get qualified. So the Upline Referral Script, are great tools for you to create massive momentum with the right attitude for brand new people. It's hard for them to have the confident attitude as they're approaching people. It's not hard for you to have it. So you can approach them the same way my mentor Robert approached my team. So my first 60 days, if I would have kept building it that way, just approaching people and approaching people and approaching people and approaching people, guess what? I would have never made it out of General Motors. I don't think. I don't know. But because I had someone come in and mentor and model me, show me how, it changed everything. So get with your team, use these upline referral scripts to help attract customers in your team and to help attract new leaders in your team. God bless you all. Make it a great day. This is officially over.